Excuse me. Hay fever. It's back. Doggone it, man. Every year I think I can get through it, Pete, but I can't. Anyway, everybody all set up? You guys good to go up there? Okay. Well, we look forward to kicking off at against Central Michigan here Saturday. Had a pretty good week of preparation going into this one. Been pleased with the progress of the kids, and you know, we'll have our hands full. I think Central Michigan's a much better team than they were a year ago at about this time when we played them. The quarterbacks continue to get better. Their defense, in my opinion, is playing sounder and more physical football. And, you know, their head coach is from the NFL, and he does some really good things with those special teams, and that's what his duties were. So we'll have our hands full, but we're looking forward to the challenge. The kids are ready. The coaches are ready to tee it up. And for me, I am really excited about it being Youth Day. You know, all the kids 12 and under get in, and you know, our kids spend a lot of time with the kids in the community, and I hope we can get a good showing there because, you know, I think we got a product that continues to get better, and we got good kids. So with that, any questions? Mark? Sorry.
Coach, when you hear this program has been 3-0, Syracuse since '91, what do you think?
I think we got to focus on what we can control to get to 3-0, and it's Thursday. Thursday's practice is a polished practice, and we got to go out there and have a great Thursday, The thing that I'm most impressed with this team, we got a lot of young guys playing, especially on defense, and a couple more than I wanted on offense, but I've been pleased with them. But the thing I'm most impressed with is that our kids have done a nice job staying focused on the things that we've asked them to, and that's the daily process. And I know that's boring for the media, but that's what I've been impressed with. So really, let's take care of business today, Thursday, and then Friday, and then pregame, and then play 1, and play 2, and play 3, and let all the other things take care of themselves in the long run. So simply swing at the first pitch, feel good about it, and then go to the next one. So that's a process we've gone with, and we're going to stay with.
Steven, then Jesse.
Hey, Scott. Do you have any kind of gauge as to whether Trudeau and Paris will be good to go for Saturday?
Yeah, well, to some degree, they were both at practice yesterday. They're getting work, but, you know, we'll see. You know, it'll be a game-time decision, you know, no different than McFarland a couple weeks back. You know, they're working hard at it, and they're feeling better. I can tell you that much. Now it's just a matter of do we feel like they're ready to help us win a game. So we'll see.
To kind of follow up on that, assuming Jason Emmerich would be the guy if Trudeau can't go.
Yeah, Jason's done a nice job this week too, by the way. I'm glad you asked that. You know, Jason's he's a sharp young man, does extremely well in school, does a great job visually and verbally communicating to the guys next to him, and he's worked hard, and he's made good improvements. So, you know, he's ready to go.
Jesse and then Brent.
How important, especially with Irv out for a few weeks, is Brisley's ability to make kind of that game-breaking play that he has in the first 2 weeks?
Right. Well, I think all those kids, whether it's Brisley or Stevie or Ben or Dante, you know, one of Coach Lester's viewpoints on offense was when we first started talking about the future and the vision of our offense was we want to run the ball, we want to run the ball well, and we want to make big plays. And we want to have, you know, guys that can obviously do those things. And anytime you lose a guy like Irv for a couple weeks, you know, you say, who's the next guy? And like you said, Brisley's done a nice job with that. I think Brisley, having a healthy Brisley has been wonderful. You know, the poor kid last year was never healthy. In the 4 or 5 games that he got to play in, he was hurting. A high ankle sprain, if anyone's ever had a high ankle sprain, it is hard to play football on a high ankle sprain. And it's just it's exciting for me to see Brisley running and flying around like he can, because until someone else steps up, you know, he's going to have to continue to do those things, as is Steve. But with that being said, I think we got some other big playmakers going into Central Michigan. They're going to have an opportunity to do those things as well. So I'm confident with the new young guys. We just got to get the ball to them and get them a couple more touches.
Scott, in kind of that day-to-day process that you go through, like we're later in the week, we're getting towards game day.
Sure.
Is it organic that you have a natural motivation sometimes for the team? Like last week was Coach Mack. Is that something you build into the game plan sometimes, or is it just, you know, winning is enough, should be enough motivation?
I think if you recruit the right guys, competing is enough motivation. And I think as far as the process is concerned, I like routine. I like rhythm in routine, but I also know that's not how games go. So I think the processes that we put forth that are controllable throughout the course of practice time are really essential and more essential than motivation. I always felt like the motivation side of things comes from recruiting the right guys. And I always liked the guys that you'd hear about, you know, hey, he got in a scuffle in gym class. They were playing kickball, and someone said it was out of bounds, and he said it was inbounds. I'm like, okay, I kind of want to meet this kid right now. You know what I'm saying? Or like we've had happen with a couple of our competitive kids. I had a young man come to me, I won't mention or embarrass him, and he was very, very, very upset because he got an A- in a class and not an A. And I had to talk him off the ledge because he was so competitive. And that's why I'm saying, you know, I think it goes back to, can we recruit very, very competitive people that hate to lose? Because when they hate to lose, you don't have to have extra motivation. And all those motivations come naturally to those types of people. And I feel like we're every year filling the roster with more and more of those self-starting guys that just hate to lose. So, you know, I liked the Newt Rockney movies, and I liked all those things. I really did, and you know, The Express and the Titans, Return of the Titans. I love those shows. But at the end of the day, you know, playing pickup basketball, we used to get some wild ass fights now, and it was just because we wanted to win, and that's what we're looking for. You know, guys that want to compete, no different than you guys. You know, I mean, the Axeman wants to do better than Steven with his story. And so on and so forth. Jesse's trying to get his best article compared to the guy next to him and the guy next to him. We're all competitive human beings. We want to win. And I don't think you need a lot more motivation other than that.
Nico and back.
Coach,
Nico.
you know, I wanted to ask you about Eric. You know, when you review film, when you watch it, as a coach, as a former quarterback, is it fun how fun is it, I should say, to see the progression and watch him progress, you know, from Rhode Island to Wake Forest and so on and so forth?
It's great. It's what coaching's all about. It's what it's all about. You know, what's a coach for? A coach's job is to take a young man that has talent and take him somewhere he wouldn't be without your presence. And for me to watch Coach Lester do that with Eric, it's a blast. I love it. You know, as a head coach, you do less on the field. You know, I used to be in every drill, coaching every technique, now I sit around on the practice field and just watch. Was that organized? Did we get that group over where they needed to be quick enough? Is that, you know, for me, it's attitude and effort. You know, that's my job. I look around and does that kid have the right approach, and is his effort good? So that's where I'm at. But for me, because I played the position, to watch Timmy, Coach Eric, it's a blast, you know. And for me to watch Coach Reed, Coach Corey Winfield, and to see Corey slowly progress into being maybe a pretty damn good corner. He's on the verge. It's exciting as all hell because they start off being, you know, unbelievable athlete. Yeah, he can dunk a basketball, and he can run a 4.4, and he can do this, and he can do that. But when you see them systematically get better at technique, so now when you're a 4.4 40 and he's a 4.4 40, and it's in the middle of the fourth quarter, and now we're both 4.6 40s, mentally, my discipline to play with technique is what beats him. That's what coaching's all about, whether it's quarterback position or any other. So to answer your question, long-winded, hell yeah it is. It's a blast seeing these kids get better. And it's fun for me to watch guys I coached against. Because I coached against Coach Lester and Coach Moreland. And to see those guys take the passion and coaching to a higher level and to see their excitement for their players doing the same things that they were taught to do, it's what the business is all about.
Dan?
What's up, Danny?
Tim Lester, as he's evolved here for you, and just what you can say about him, you just made mention of him, but what he's become with this offense and how he has kind of created his own here over the last 3 years.
Sure. I think the first thing Tim would say is it's not just Tim Lester. You know, DeAndre Smith. DeAndre's done a hell of a job influencing this offense. You know, and I'm sure you guys figured it out. You know, all the things that I didn't want you guys to see since last spring had to do with triple option, you know. And I don't think you run triple option till the cows come home. But I know one thing, that stuff kept me up as a defensive coordinator. And Coach Lester is indebted to the influence the rest of the coaches, D and the rest of the guys have had in influencing what this offense was going to become now. Because, you know, when he was at Elmhurst and a couple of the smaller colleges, he didn't have some of the athletes on the outside that we could get here. And he was extremely excited to lean on the other coaches and go explore other people that know football well and do some of those higher level things in the passing game. So I think I'm proud of Timmy Lester and the job he's been doing, but I'm equally impressed with the way he has had open arms to everybody around that table saying, hey, what can we do better today or tomorrow? What fits, what doesn't fit? At the end of the day, he'll make the final decision, but no different than I'm indebted to Tim Doust. When I was a coordinator, Tim made me look way better than I really was because he was a great coach up front. Chuck Bola was my linebackers coach at Western Michigan. I learned so much from Chuck. Pat Narduzzi and I worked at Rhode Island, but I hired him from Rhode Island when I became a coordinator at Northern Illinois, and I got credit for being the coordinator, but Pat and I had a great influence on what we were doing daily, you know. So I think the great answer that Timmy would probably back would be, we're lucky to have a bunch of good coaches that have something to add to it. But it takes a man to be able to say, my way is not always the best way. What do you guys think? And to take that in. That's one of the most underrated things. And that goes with humility, some modesty and some humbleness, and the ability to say, I'm not as smart as people may give me credit being, you know. And, you know, I learned that over the years, you know. Once you think you got it figured out, someone puts you back in your place. And for me, it was usually my mom or my wife, you know what I mean? And Tim, if you ever met Dawn, he's got the same attributes. He's got a wonderful wife. So Tim's doing a hell of a job, but he's also got a great staff.
Last two questions, Mark and then Steven.
Coach, I know it's early in the year, but statistically, you're number 1 in the country in turnover margin, number 2 against the run, number 9 scoring defense. Considering you lost 8 starters off that defense, are you surprised? And is this maybe the best defense you've had?
Oh boy, buddy, it's way too early for that. I got a bunch of kids I get texts from all the time, and that 2010 defense was pretty damn good. And I don't want Doug Hogue hearing me say anything. The proof's in the pudding. I will say this, I think our coaching staff, I think Fred Reed's done a great job getting some young DBs going. I think Coach Douse has done an excellent job, like he always has, getting some young guys up front that haven't played a lot of football. And I think Coach Lee's done a great job. I think Paris is on the verge of being really good. I think Zaire's a damn good football player. But all those things couldn't happen without having a great process of how we're going to get them from A to B and eventually Z. And we're in like C and D and maybe E right now, so we got a long way to go. But hats off to the coaching staff for the work they've done so far, and Coach Bola, the job he's done, you know, saying yes and no to things at the right time. Now we just got to continue to do that. And Game 3 coming up here Saturday, you know, is the next test. You're only as good as your next test. You guys are the ones that always remind me of that. So we got another test Saturday, and hopefully we feel good about things come Saturday night.
Last question from Steven.
Talking with Trudeau last week, you know, you guys were adjusting to having Eric as the full-time starter, and he said, you know, he's going to do everything he can to help him, obviously, with calling out protections and a couple small things.
Sure.
Has Eric had to do a little bit more this week, you know, with Jason in there while he has been?
No. Jason does a real nice job. Jason's a great communicator. All good? Okay, have a good one.